This is it. It's just about kickoff. We are going to give you what has to happen for the Kansas City Chiefs in their opening contest of the 2023 season against those Detroit Lions. Thanks for being here with us. We are live on RGR Football. I'm Ryan. This is me going rogue with Dan Harms. Hope you guys are doing well. What's going on, boss?
Oh, normal stuff. We had to, I know we had some people wondering why we had to push it back. Well, both of us are parents. We're dads. And life kind of throws curveballs whenever you least expect it. And tonight was soccer practice followed by temper tantrums. So that was my evening. But we're here. It's the night before the Thursday night football game to kick off the season where they drop the banners. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I am pumped as well. And I hope you guys got to see the earlier video, got a chance to sit down with Mike Golick and Mike Golick. So cool. That was kind of fun. If you guys missed it, go check it out. We had a good time. Super cool guys. Hung out and brought their expertise to the show. Very, very intriguing because as somebody that lives outside the market, obviously they've seen from afar, Pat, but it's a different thing. So check that out. Kudos to them and our friends over at DraftKings because they have been helping us there. And it's a unique relationship that we really do appreciate. So DraftKings, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And you guys can check it out. If you guys want to get into the action, go ahead and use our code RGR. When you go over to DraftKings.com, you may enjoy that quite a bit. So this is usually our, I know it's like Wednesday. This is usually a Friday thing. This is our kind of like live game plan type material. I think with all the news today in general, I think we probably have to take a step back from that just for a second.
Just a second.
Because it's hard to have a plan if you don't know who's going to be there. So first and foremost, Travis's brother, Travis Kelce, obviously injured earlier in the week. Travis's brother came on. I can't remember what show it was, but said he had talked to Trav, whatever. They get a lot more news outside the market through the Kelce family than we do inside the market. So we got to roll with it when we get it. And so what I told you about the injury, I think it was just yesterday, is that a lot of times, as long as the ligaments are okay, you're good, you're going to be fine. Generally, a hyperextension is going to result in a bone bruise. Looks like that was confirmed through Jason about Travis. That's fine. Not like the end of the world. Usually, unless it's really significant, that is something that is a pain tolerance issue. So maybe you get a chance to be on the field. I will say this. The one factor that might play into that is the compression fracture from long time ago, right? When Travis was a rookie. A lot of times those things have a tendency to reappear sometimes if you stress them too much. So my guess is the coaching staff, the training staff is going to be a little bit on the cautious side, but we will see. It's not a rule out situation. I know a lot of folks hope that he will play. Do you have a feel for what you'd like to see happen and what you think will happen?
So I personally think he's going to be active. I don't think he's going to play a lot. I think he'll maybe play every now and then and be a decoy. I don't think they're really going to throw him the ball a ton. But at the end of the day, this is week one. Everybody knows this is about much more than winning opening day. Like it'd be fantastic to go out there, hang the banners, and beat the Lions. And I think they can still do that without Travis Kelce. We'll get into some of the nitty-gritty as to why they still can. But when it comes to his health and getting through the hard parts, it just happened. There's no real known about if, like you said, his previous injury can play into some of this. Now, being cautious with the best tight end in football is far more appealing than saying, can you play through the pain for opening week? I feel it, Travis.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I feel. But at the end of the day, I do think he's going to be active because that's just kind of how Travis and his brother Jason are. They play through it, and don't be surprised if he comes out there with a knee brace.
Yeah, I can ride with you on that part that that's the way that they want to ride. I have a feeling they're going to get overridden by Andy. I actually don't think he'll be active, but I'd like to be wrong. But I think Andy's going to be like, time out there, buddy. Let's not be crazy. It's 20 games this season, right? It's 20 games. So let's chill. we'll see who wins out in that.
In the last 5 years. Why don't you take one off?
Gonna be okay. We got dudes. It's gonna be okay. And we're gonna go through who steps up. I see that we have some questions for you super chatters. Make sure you get them in now. We don't know how long we're gonna go tonight, but it probably won't be a super long one. So we'll make sure that we get to every super chat. We appreciate you supporting the channel. If you want to help us out more, you can grab Dan's hat or my hat or the shirts, whatever you feel like in the store. That always helps us as well. And obviously support our sponsors with DraftKings on board. It's been kind of a fun ride already. But It's not the only news, right? We'll deal with Trav, how we deal with Trav, and how they're going to work around it here in a minute. I don't know how to phrase this in a way that expresses my frustration without, throwing somebody under the bus. But when you get a holdout player and both the representatives in town and all they do is a publicity stunt, and nothing against Ronald McDonald House, it's great charity. That was a publicity stunt to show Chris to the public again. This is not any kind of coincidence. That is frustrating because you'd like to see them making more headway. And I think the back and forth and the comments that were made, I don't think that it helped anything today. Did you come away more positive this afternoon after seeing Chris Jones in public?
I didn't, but I don't know if it was necessarily a publicity stunt, but this was something set up a while ago, like if I'm not mistaken. Like this was done before, probably just because this is who Chris Jones is. And I think that he was more, I'm of the belief that this was something that he wanted to do no matter what, because I still believe that that's the kind of person that he is. But the agents being there is the publicity stunt. That's them saying, hey, guess what? We're all here. Okay. And then
you're way more optimistic than I am.
I am. And the comments that were made almost guarantees, at least from everything we've seen, that he wants a raise this year. And I was having some conversation on Twitter earlier, and you don't ask, his cap hit this year is $19.5 million. So if we're talking about a raise, the contract that was offered is a raise from his yearly cap hits. It is. So when he says out in public that he does want a raise, it's for this year, meaning he wants this year's contract ripped up and thrown out and given more than $19.5 million this year. So guess what? The Chiefs aren't budging. That's not going to happen. So someone's going to have to make some concessions here if this deal is going to get done in the next couple of weeks, because I can tell you right now, he's not playing tomorrow. No, he thinks that he can just come out and if his deal's done, he'll be on the field. I have a hard time believing the Chiefs are going to be all hunky-dory about doing that.
I think that as well. And let's be honest, folks. Ron McDonald's House has a relationship with the Kansas City Chiefs, not with any one player. They try to slot players for their participation, but just like the turkey drives in the fall and that kind of thing, that's set up by the team for the players. It's not an individual endorsement. So there are ways, but I really want to hear, and we won't probably hear for like 2 or 3 years. I want to hear what the reaction today within the building really was. So I'm looking forward to it. So that said, whether Chris is around, not, I'd love to see something get done and let him be on the sidelines. I personally feel that would give the team a little bit of a motivational lift, and I like that concept. But let's get into the mechanics of how you go about preparing, knowing that Travis is out, knowing that Chris is out, because even if he walks in tomorrow and signs a contract, he's not playing. How are they going to go about attacking this game? You want to start off once? I think that's where we should naturally begin.
Yeah, so I think what this comes down to is when you see the Chiefs go right before cutdowns and trade for a guy like Neil Farrell, who has been a backup in his one season in the NFL. He's a run-stopping defensive tackle. Like, that's what he is. I know there's some optimism that maybe the Chiefs bring up Danny Shelton, but Danny Shelton's not going to be a run-stopping defensive tackle. Yeah, like I said, I've mentioned it before. He can maybe find his way into a gap and get pushed out by two guys, but he's not there to be a run-stopping guy. He's there to pressure the quarterback. And the way that, at least in my opinion, how this defensive line is shaped up, you have a bunch of different guys that can come in and play 3-tech, can play that pressure position from defensive end. You don't have to play Danny Shelton here. So they need to find a way to stop the run with the defensive line that they're going to have. And it's been difficult to do without Chris Jones. So who's going to step up? Is a guy like Mike Dana going to come down and be more a physical presence against the run game? Is he going to be able to maybe play more 3-tech? Is Herring going to come in and be kind of like a 3-tech? Because I think this is going to be an extremely important part for their defensive line to find somebody that they can put there on rundowns that can help keep these linebackers clean to allow them to run downhill. That's what this comes down to for me, just to stop the run game.
And who scares you the most on that run game?
It's not even close. It's Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs, even though he's a rookie, he finds a crease and he's electric. It's gone. He's going to take it for chunks. David Montgomery was not the most efficient back in the world, and he's not the most elusive guy. He's a very tough runner. I think he has better vision than he gets credit for, but he's not going to beat you to death with 20, 30-yard chunk gains when he finds a crease. He's going to get 5-10 yards maybe, and you can live with that every now and then because you're going to be able to bring him down. The one guy that you have to be able to keep eyes on and get in the backfield, not let him get to the second level, is Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, he's just got that home run ability. And I think he does better in between the tackles than he's given credit for. The question is going to be, Ragnow's been hurting. We understand that they're going to start him. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
I've heard conflicting reports about just how ready to go he is, but he's going to give it a go as we hear today. Good player when healthy. Is that going to be enough? Because I think they are probably not as elite as they would hope. So can they really get something done inside? It's going to be on those guys that have the opportunity. It's going to be Coburn. It's going to be Turk practice in perpetuity today.
How much is
I gotta hope. I know that I just don't know, and so it's going to be a rotation. Who did they call up? Talked to Matt Derrick yesterday, and he thinks that Dickerson might be called up in lieu of Shelton. Don't know.
Yeah.
So that there's a little bit more of a two-way go there, and so that could be it. But I agree with you. Job number one for this defense is to take away the easy yards inside on the run. And that sets up the pass, in my opinion. So job number one, stop that run game. See if you can make them at least move horizontally so you can use your team speed and get out there. I think the linebacker level in particular for the Kansas City Chiefs can probably help get that done if they can stretch things out. So that said, number two, I feel is you got to dial it up right away. I think you can rattle Goff if you get after him early, and that means Chamari, McDuffie, I'm sending them pretty often in the first quarter to see what I can get done. I don't care. I'm not waiting. I'm not holding things back. I'm sending a linebacker blitz at least once in the first drive, and I'm sending some safety nickel combinations. That's probably the number two takeaway for me on defense. What do you got?
Yeah, it's funny because it kind of sets up with the run game too. The one thing that the Jared Goff-led Detroit Lions want to do is play action pass. They want to get to the play action out of pistol, even out of under center. They want to get to their play action game because that's where they're most efficient. Like they're an excellent play action pass game, whether it's downfield in the first 5 yards. They're excellent at doing that as well. And that's kind of how you get to Jared Goff. If you can force him to be a drop back passer, hey, you got a really good shot here. If he's able to sit back in the pocket and have time to throw the football, that's where he turns into a very good quarterback. And we saw that firsthand in 2018 where they put up 50 plus points. I mean, there were some defensive turnovers for touchdowns and stuff like that. But
yeah,
he's a guy who can. Yeah, I mean, there's some things that happened in that game that we won't revisit, but he can lead a very explosive offense. So having the ability to come downhill, get after him a little bit, force him to throw the ball away. We have seen the propensity to him to throw interceptions, to fumble the football. You can rattle him, like you said, a little bit there with these blitzes. I want to see Leo Chanel off the edge. I want to see, honestly, even up the middle. You if he's going to be out there in your base set anyway, move him around a little bit. Like, yeah, let him get up to the line of scrimmage. Let him test some of these tackles or these interior guys just a little bit there to get after Goff, because I think that would help as well. He's an excellent blitzer in those A gaps that we've seen. So there's a lot of different ways they can attack with their linebackers. All 4 of them can blitz and can blitz pretty well. I would not be surprised to see all 4 of them sent at some different points during the evening.
I love that concept. I certainly hope so. Actually, I want to get to your question, but while we're still on the defense here, I think Coburn's going to be an early sub just to see what he can bring, see what kind of juice he brings once he's to that level. I think you got to get him exposed probably in the second series and then try to see how much he can take on. I think a lot of it's going to have to do with, if you start Turk, how does he feel? How does that first drive go for him? And then you kind of play off of it from there. Because I don't know about Pharrell and what he's going to be available for. Quite frankly, he's a guy that didn't get to play for the Raiders last year. So I'm not convinced that he's ready to walk in and play a ton of snaps either. So it's a pretty thin group at that position.
Yeah, I want to see, last year there were a lot of young players on this defense. They got playing time early, and they had to step up to the plate. Like, they had to be ready to go. This is going to be Kendrick Coburn's time. Like, he's a young player. Chris Jones is not going to be out there. Who's going to step up? I think the one guy that we can hope is going to be able to do that, is Kendrick Coburn, because he's got a lot to prove as a 6th-round draft pick. And I think he's going to be able to show some of that on Thursday night.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Let's flip over to the other side. Bumpa, thanks for the super chat. Bumpa. Appreciate you. Will Trav, with Trav 34, will this show a glimpse of life after Travis? Well, you'd hope that it didn't. You'd hope that Jody Fortson was a little bit more in the mix, that you could see that going there, but no Gray's it. I think right now, if you had a season-ending injury, no Gray is your tight end one. Yeah. So it certainly does look like an early glimpse of what life after Travis could look like. Now, I don't think 34 for Travis Kelce is the end of the road, and I don't think this injury is anything to be overly concerned with. This was pretty fluky, as I understand, and I don't think it's going to be anything serious. But it does give you that kind of, okay, maybe we are at the age where fluky things can start to happen more often, and we have to be more prepared for it. We've talked about the tight end through the last 2 draft cycles, and they haven't done much about it. So will they like what they see when they get a glimpse of this is going to be the question.
Yeah, this is, I think, like you said, this is more of a, how can things keep going? Because Travis has been the Iron Man since his rookie season injury. He's not really missed games. He's had, one from COVID, a couple rest weeks from, week 17 and week 18s that they've rested everybody, but he doesn't miss games. So this is one of those things that as a team, they were probably waiting for something to draft a tight end or to look at the future, because if he keeps going, oh, well, why bother? Like, just keep going other places with it. But right now, it's like I said, it's a fluky thing. How is that going to escalate? Is it going to escalate? You don't know. And at this point, you can't bet on it not escalating. You have to be able to have plans in place. And Noah Gray is going to have an opportunity, regardless of whether Travis Kelce is active or not, to show you guys can count on me. That's what this is about. This Thursday night for Noah Gray is the you have arrived moment, okay? Everybody else, all the time that he's played in the NFL till now, Travis Kelce's been there. He's been the guy first, and he's been generating space. Now it's your turn. You need to show them that if Travis Kelce, knock on wood, or to ever miss any more time, that you can be that guy. So guess what? We're talking about Kendrick Coburn stepping up. Noah Gray, you do need to step up in this game. Even if you're not going to be Travis Kelce, you got to step up.
Yeah, I completely agree. And to PK's question, I think we addressed that with the defense. To Steve's question, that is Noah Gray's number one. Can Blake Bell really help you? I don't think so. Can he give you a couple of snaps, especially in the run game? Sure, but I don't think we're in for a 25-snap Blake Bell outing. So then it becomes, I assume that they elevate Bushman if Trav is inactive or, God forbid, anything else. So can you get some kind of contributions from that? I don't know. But Gray would be the first. And then if you start to go outside the position, Cody was the first one to bring up Sky Moore. And I do think because of the routes that they like to have Sky run, I do think that gap, that gravity that Travis usually pulls will get shifted to Sky. But I don't think that they're necessarily prepared to do that, especially at the linebacker level. I think that he's going to be able to get loose inside there on some of the short game. And I like that concept for him.
I think that this just makes the defense play straight up, honestly, because the way that they've talked about, the Detroit Lions have talked about this up until now, is that it's Travis Kelce. Everybody else, we're fine letting you try to beat us. That tells me that they're going to probably play as straight up as they can. And I think that that's perfect. I think that's absolutely perfect for Sky Moore, for Kadarius Toney, for anybody that they're going to bring up, even MVS, to be very honest with you, because he's somebody who can beat you downfield. And he's shown that he can beat you downfield, even if you're playing straight up. So I would like to see them use MVS the way they used him in the Bengals AFC Championship game. You get him some scheme touches, get him going, get him comfortable, use his speed a little bit, even horizontally, because speed in vertical or horizontal movement for MVS is good. Once you get him trying to, change directions at a fast pace, that's when you have the problem. So use him in a little bit of different ways. But at the end of the day, Sky Moore is going to have another opportunity to show, look, I learned everything last year. You guys have been talking me up. I've been trying to prove myself there. Like, this is now my opportunity also to say, hey, I learned everything. I see this stuff in the zone. I can find those soft spots. I can change my routes based on the coverage that I'm seeing. He flashed some of that last year. I think he can do that again here with Emmanuel Mosby, who's going to be out for the Detroit Lions. They're one of their cornerbacks. I mean, this is another prime opportunity for these young guys to step up. Honestly, that's like the name of this Thursday night game. It's going to be, just label it step up. Like, this is, you don't have Travis Kelce, you don't have Chris Jones. Guys, the most important outside of maybe one guy in each side of the football, like who is it? Who's going to do it? Got a lot of young guys to step up.
And we all have a lot of ideas as well. Make sure you like, sub, and become a member here of the channel. If you guys want to be a member in the memberships, you can get in there too below Dan, and then you can get all the extra content. I'm going to have something for you tomorrow. We're going to have a pregame vid ready, and then we will have postgame live. So don't miss it here. Our Thursday night edition of Sunday Night Football. It will be will be coming at you. Now, from Cody, we go to Coty because he went to the place that I don't think enough people are going to right now. Is, can Richie James be the guy that steps in there, the veteran presence? We know how they like to put some of that stress onto the veterans to see what they can come up with. I think that's a viable option. I'm just not sure if they got enough of the offense install around Richie before the injury happened. And installing now is sometimes a lost cause. You got to kind of go with the play set that you had in place. What do you think?
I think you can do a little bit of that. Richie James was kind of like that reduced split slot guy for the Giants last year. You probably have enough familiarity with the positional advantages that he has in that position to take some of those benders off, to use him that way. I think you can kind of have him do some of the stuff that Kelce does. Like, that's obviously it's a completely different person. It's a completely different matchup in terms of body style, speed, route nuance, coverage nuance. All that stuff is a little bit different, but I think he can do some of the, like I said, the benders, the things over the middle of the field that he did with the New York Giants last year. But he's also faster. I think you can take that and bring that into your advantage as well. If you can find a way to get him matched up on a slot corner or a linebacker or a safety, you're probably going to find him some situations where he can match up against a linebacker or a safety, and he can beat those guys.
And that's where it comes back to where we started at the top. It all comes back to Mahomes, because you have all these different possibilities of guys that have to see it and execute it, and they're new to the offense. They're new to this split. They're new to this role. Now they're having to take up the slack for Travis Kelce. It's going to be up to Mahomes to raise his level and take himself to the point where he can deal. He can get the ball out quickly. And I do think he does have to speed up his delivery because of the lack of Travis Kelce. Yeah. A lot of times Travis is on that slow burn route behind something that he can go to. Not going to have that now, right? So it's up to Patrick, and I love that. I think he has it, and I think he's got this completely under control. It's going to be how he dispenses the ball, not if he dispenses the ball. But there's another aspect, and Kel brought it up here before we get to some of the longer shots. Do they run more? The normal paradigm is you're missing one of your prime targets. You see if you can pull guys down into the box. If not, you just run. You just run if they're not going to pack the box on you. If they're going to sit back there and play games, fine. I just don't know if Andy's got that install done already and that he's willing to actually make those calls. Am I wrong?
I don't necessarily think you're wrong, but I think that those calls were already in, personally. I think they were going to run the ball a little bit more anyway to help with the defense, because I would imagine that the Chiefs aren't expecting them to play at the level that they would with Chris Jones, and that's perfectly reasonable. Okay, it's perfectly reasonable to not expect your defense to play up to your standard without your best player on the field. So to be able to maybe give them some rest and to hold off that, you might want to play a little bit more clock management, a little bit, but this is going to be up to Mahomes. I think he's going to have more options to hand the ball off or to throw it. He's going to be able to make more checks, make more changes and more audibles. That's the next evolution, honestly. It really is. It's going to let Patrick have more control of what's called on the field, what's being changed, and how to adjust to what he's seeing on the field. And without Travis Kelce there, that safety blanket, who he always knows where he's going to be rotating, maybe instead of saying, okay, I know exactly where Travis is going to be, I'm going to throw the ball to him, maybe you say, okay, we know that you understand what you're doing. Like, we know that you understand defenses. Let's give you more control to take that out of the hands of the defense. Put it into your hands and let him do most of the work.
I love the concept, and I think this is a great necessity to do it in a way that is not just frivolous, that, hey, this is what we're trying to accomplish. We're going to go this direction because we need to. And I think that helps him as well. We're going to get back to some of the defense here in a second. But before we do, I want to make sure we get Nighthawks. Thank you, Nighthawk. Appreciate you. And I did see, you've been here 8 months as a member as well.
Thank you, Nighthawk.
Very much appreciate the support. And thank you for the super chat tonight. What are the chances of seeing Ross on the field for the entire game? And secondly, how similar is Sky Moore to the play style of Edelman from his Patriot days? Take your pick. You take half, I'll take half.
All right. So the chances of seeing Ross on the entire field for the entire game are next to none. He's not going to be out there the whole time. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out if he's going to be active. With the news of Travis Kelce, maybe they keep 7 receivers, but I still lean to 6. But I think it's between him and Rashee Rice of who's going to be inactive in this game. I think that Rashee Rice brings a level of yak ability that they would really like to have against the Lions defense, to be able to throw the ball out quickly, get it to one of their playmakers, and then run, which he showcased in the preseason. But I'm not sure what they're going to do right now, whether it's going to be to keep all 7 receivers, whether, again, I still lean 6, or to bring Matt Bushman up. There's a lot of decisions they're going to have to make here, and obviously we're going to find out in the next less than 24 hours, but he's not going to play the whole game if he's elevated, or if he's if he's active.
Yeah, I have trouble seeing that as well. I can hope, but I have a little bit of trouble with it. I'd like to see them go full bore, to do everything they can on the offensive side, because I know you're going to have to bring in some numbers for the defense.
Agreed.
I think you want to stay out front. And so when it comes to Sky Moore, the play style of Edelman versus in the Patriots, especially before he hit the injury bug there a little bit, the most kind way I can put it is that I do feel that Sky has better ability to get yak once he has the ball, but his cuts are nowhere near as heart-stopping as Edelman. Edelman's best attribute was his ability. Yeah. He has the best short area quickness score in the history of the athletic matrix. He scored out better than Tyreek Hill did. That's how good Edelman is. And I think we lose some of that because of the injuries, because of his size, because of the offense they played in. He didn't get a whole lot extra, but Sky's more of a straight line athlete to me. I think he can do some of the same things. The pivot route in the Super Bowl, don't rely on that, because that wasn't pure athleticism. That was scheme that got that done. So, but I do think that it can be lined up and executed in a similar way from that same spot. But rather than seeing just the pure pivots, which they will do with Sky, I'm waiting for the sluggos and the interior stem to a vertical route. I think you're going to see some differences here in the way that they choose to run 4 routes with Sky this year than they have in the past. And I'm personally looking for that, because I think there's better ways to exploit the defenses. But Knight, thank you for your support and for that question. It was a great one. Let's see. Let's get over to Maestro. Thank you for your question. I'm going to try to come back to it later, but this is pre-game live stream. We'll get back to the college stuff here in a bit, probably over the weekend as well. Jerome, Chiefs missing 2 of the top 10 players and can still count on a cut. Does Vegas say that? I don't know. I haven't looked at the Vegas line, but it hasn't been moving when I did look earlier today as much as I thought that it would be.
No, it moved a point after the Travis Kelce injury. So it went from 5.5 to 4.5. I would imagine by kickoff, it might be 4. But Vegas still favors the Chiefs greater than a field goal at home. So something tells me that they're everyone pretty, at least in the Vegas industry, understands what Patrick Mahomes can do and what he does and how he actually elevates people. And that's something that I think that if the entire world football world is watching, they're going to stop questioning some of the greatness of Patrick Mahomes. And yes, I know for the vast majority of people, they don't. I know the vast majority do. But there is a very, very vocal, I won't even say minority. There are some vocal people out there that say some asinine things, and they're going to be not saying those things, I think, after Thursday night.
Yeah, I have to hope so. I think that's legitimate. Ja, thank you for your support. Appreciate you, pal.
You, Ja.
What are you expecting from Tony tomorrow? And that is a great question, because I've been hemming and hawing about this. And honestly, before the draft thing, I thought it was going to be 15 snaps, maybe 3 or 4 targets, just see how he feels. Now I think that gets elongated a little bit. Does he play 25 snaps? Probably. Does he get 8 targets? I think he might. It seems like you're going to shift that to him and see what you got there. Am I wrong?
I don't think so. And the fact that he practiced in full today, he wasn't, given a questionable tag, because the Chiefs, as we know, are hesitant with their injury players. If they don't feel someone is 100% ready, they usually get the questionable tag, or they say, he was limited in practice today. He didn't have a full go. He got full go today. I know it's a walkthrough and everything like that. But again, these tags for the Chiefs do matter. They tell you. Travis didn't get the doubtful tag. He got the questionable tag. That's probably a little more gamesmanship than anything. But Tony, if he's there on the field, I think you also can use him in the slot, line him up against a safety or a linebacker. He can take over some of those responsibilities as well. The athleticism he doesn't need to have a full route tree. And I think that's something that people don't really take into account for Kadarius Toney. They say, well, he doesn't have a full route tree. I think he has a better route tree than most people think that he does, but he doesn't need it. Like, he doesn't need to have a full route tree because he just knows how to get open. Like, he just knows how to get open. Those players, they deserve to have 8 targets a game when they play 25 snaps. They just do.
Yeah, I mean, and that natural evolution, not having to put thought into it, which slows everybody down. I think.
Yeah.
I think that just goes that much farther for it. So I do want to just throw one nugget out there, because I looked it up while people were talking there. For the Lions fans that think that Aiden Hutchinson is going to have a field day tomorrow, I do want to just point out that he had 46 pass rush snaps against Jacksonville Jaguars last year. Juwan Taylor allowed 1 hurry, no hits, no sacks. So you can talk about Donovan Smith on the other side, but in terms of attacking Juwan Taylor, I'm feeling fairly comfortable with that particular matchup. Are you, Dan?
I am. I do think that last year, at the end of the year, Aiden Hutchinson really started to come into his own, and I think he's going to be even better this year. I just think that the challenge being handed to Juwan Taylor is enough to bring that level up too. I think it's going to be a fun battle to watch, and I do think that Aiden's going to win his fair share. The difference is that it's not Jared Goff behind the offensive line where he can't move. It's Patrick Mahomes behind the offensive line who can move around and make things happen.
Yeah. And I completely agree with you. And I would make the same argument for Juwan Taylor. I thought he peaked at the end of the season as well.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
I'm looking forward to that matchup. It should be great, is my thought.
Should be fun. A lot of fun.
Okay. Couple of lighthearted ones here. If you're not subscribed yet, go click that button right now, because sometimes you get this extra stuff, like Scott asked. Dan, what are you grilling tomorrow?
It's funny you ask, because I'm not going to be grilling anything tomorrow. Specifically, there goes the light. I have my daughter's got in her what's called ninja class. It's like a tumbling kind of thing where she goes and actually physically exerts herself and climbs things a lot. So that's going to be at night, and then I'm going to come home and do the whole midnight time routine. So I actually smoked today. I did a couple of pork tenderloins. Oh my gosh! They were delicious. Like, I didn't get them pulled. They were just 225, 250 degrees for like an hour and a half. Just rubs, get some barbecue sauce, glaze on there, let it harden just a little bit while it's still in the smoker. Then bring it up to temperature on rest time. Cut like butter. Went down super delicious. And I'll post a picture for you guys on Twitter. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm having salmon tonight as soon as we're done. The family's kind of waiting on me. So, yeah, now I want pig. That's just the way it goes.
That is the way it goes.
All right, fine. Moving on. Non-food questions. What are the chances BJ Thompson gets to play this game? Nighthawk, great question. I got a feeling he might be active, just to be able to throw different combinations at Goff in particular, but Penei Sewell as well, because I think you can beat Penei Sewell. If you have to go through him, I think you can beat him better with speed than you can with power.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to beat him no matter what. Like, he's a freak. He's great. He's a fantastic player. The best you're going to be able to do, honestly, is throw someone at him and then blitz off the edge around him. Like, that's what you're going to have to do, probably, to get by him. He might even still catch both those guys. I don't know. He's a really, really good tackle. But this is going to be the best time to get him active. Once Chris Jones and once Charles Omenihu are back, he's going to be an inactive player. right now is going to be the easiest and the best time to get him active, get him some snaps, and get him some experience. And his speed is not like anything that they have at defensive end. His first step is better than Felix's too. Like it just is. So you might see him in there a little bit. I'm still not sure he's going to be active, but the fact that we might see quite a bit of defensive ends playing 3-tech makes me think that there's a good chance that he's active.
Yeah, I personally hope so, because I agree with you. I think this is the right opportunity to get him a look, get him a couple of touches. We'll see what happens. And Doug, thanks for pointing that out. If you guys would hit the like and the sub, we very much appreciate that. That goes a long way in helping the channel. We got Nighthawks. Let's see. Anthony had a good question here. Does Bosa's deal affect Jones? 34 at the 122.5. I mean, no deal at the defensive line position is completely ignored. My opinion, if I'm Brett Veach, I'm saying, listen, these guys don't play the same position. I'm glad he got his money. We ain't doing it. Is that a viable argument in your mind, Dan?
It's not. I see both sides of the table are going to think differently. The agency would be like, hey, look, viable, one of the best pass rushers in the NFL just got paid $34 million. And Chris Jones, one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. And the team's going to be like, yeah, but he plays defensive tackle.
And he's 25.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Bosa's 25. He got a 5-year deal. Talking about a 3-year extension for Chris Jones, and he's not getting that. That's just not going to happen. He's not getting paid over Aaron Donald, especially. And this is the key point where we have recordings, we have evidence of Chris Jones saying, "I don't want anything more than Donald." We have actual evidence of him saying it. Guess what? They come into a meeting. They press this recorder. Hey, guess what? Boom. We have you saying it. You're not getting it. It's not happening.
We live in a very different world than 10 seconds ago, Dan. Sorry, that was on TV and I had to go with it. But appreciate the question. And Greg, you as well. Turk has never really had the opportunity to shine, so hopefully he can be a major force and stay healthy. What do you think? Yeah, I need to see the explosiveness. I didn't see enough of him in the preseason to get a feel for where he is. But if he comes out there and they're in pass rush situations right away, we're going to know really fast. And if we see other players cycle in immediately after that first drive, we're going to know where they're at.
Yep. And I think that unfortunately, the injuries have derailed his ability to stay on the field. Not only that, but to have that opportunity to show out, to be the guy behind Chris Jones. He flashed in his rookie season, and then it's been, dinged up here. You weren't as good as you were your rookie season there. Dinged up again, and dinged up again. So, unfortunately, when you're unable to stay healthy, it's just hopefully he has that opportunity tonight. He's ready tomorrow night. He's ready to go. But I don't foresee him playing a ton in this game.
I can understand that.
As much as it hurts me.
I hope so, but I can understand where you're coming from. Nick, thank you. Longtime member as well. Want to give you a shout out. How early do you expect CFAU on the field? Now, this is that second wave that we're talking about, but at the edge position, because I think they're going to start Dana out there. And that makes sense to me in what they've done in the past. But I think FAU is going to get on the field pretty early, definitely in the first quarter, in my opinion.
Absolutely. You have to get the best pass rush options out there without Chris Jones. And I've said it, and I'll continue to say it. I will until the cows come home. And I have a feeling he's going to get home in this game. I don't know how, I don't know when, but we're talking fingertips away multiple times against, NFL players in the preseason. I know some of them were backups.
Yep.
He's getting it down. And I really do feel that he's going to get home in this game.
Okay. I hope so. I feel like it's a possibility, that's for sure. Thank you, Nick, as always.
Thanks, Nick.
John, is this a big Justin Watson game? I'm really intrigued by this concept. What do you think?
I will be less than surprised if he is the first touchdown scorer. This would be peak Kansas City Chiefs. Everyone's talking about Noah Gray's got to step up. Everyone's talking about Sky Moore, even MVS and Richie James, Rashee Rice. Hey, Justin Watson catches a 75-yard bomb to open the game. That would be the least or the most Chiefs thing ever.
It would. Oh my God. And Whiskey is trying to fight that battle for you. Thank you, Whiskey. Appreciate your support. He says 10 snaps for Trav, 3 receptions, 3 touchdowns for just 3 yards. Hey, if he can do that and that's all he needs to do, great. And then you supplement with a little Watson over the top. Sure.
Go stand in the end zone. Go stand there. Don't even run. We're on the 3-yard line or on the 1-yard line. Just stand there. Turn around. Catch the football.
It's no worry. Oh, Whiskey, I like the way you think. Minimal effort, maximum output. I love it. Let's see, Doug. If healthy O-line this season, will it be a top 3 O-line? Ooh, that's pushing it. In terms of pressure, I think they can be top 10. They'd have to be on a pretty good tear, and we'd have to see full strength Donovan Smith, like 2020 Donovan Smith, to be a top 3, in my opinion. What do you got, Dan?
I don't see that being possible, honestly. The way that both Jawan Taylor and Donovan Smith have trouble with power, a lot of power players in this league. I'm not there yet. Like I would love to see them get that high. I think top 5 is within reach. But I think top 3 is a stretch.
Oh, we can hope. I'm just going to say that
you can always hope.
Knight, do you think the Trank will get used on some blitz packages? I know Absolutely. The corners will attack. Yeah, I think he's shown that he can get there, especially he's got good speed downhill, more speed than Nick Bolton does, and I think Bolton's a good blitzer as well. Like Dan said earlier, I think you could see every linebacker blitz at some point in this package, because unless somebody just finds a matchup that they naturally have the advantage, I think you're just going to have to be creative all night to generate some pressure.
Yeah, it's going to be all hands on deck. Everyone on the field, all of you can possibly blitz at any single time. Literally, that's how this is going to go, I think.
Coming at you live. And another one from Nighthawk, I think Pacheco is going to eat tomorrow if the defense is as bad as they say it is. Well, it's interesting because I think their best run stopper is supposedly not going to play in Bugs. I know he said that. I don't understand what's going on with that situation. I don't know that anybody does outside that building. The linebackers, I do feel are suspect. So if he doesn't, I agree with you, Nighthawk. I would be, you know me, I'd be attempting that every other play, basically, if not more. So I'm with you there. Do you think that it can be a big night for him, Dan?
I don't know. I don't know.
I sense some hesitancy.
It's tough. I'm going to keep some takes behind the curtain. I'm going to keep some takes behind the curtain.
Okay. That's what venting is for. I can get behind that. That is OBKB. For those of you who recognize that reference, you're older than we can all admit. Cole, do you think that Jones signs before the game? And if so, does he play? I have the feeling that no, he does not sign. But even if he does, there's no way that he plays.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
No, that would be a disservice to everyone, actually, because as much as he can say that he's in shape and he's training down in Miami, he ain't ready to step on that field and play ball like day one. I just can't see it. It'd be too much of a risk, Cole. Great question, though. Scott, will KC show a lot of its cards? It would usually say for later in the season this week, and how bad will that bite them later? That's a very good question. It depends if the Detroit Lions defense is what it's cracked up to be. Do they have to go into the bag early? They might. If there's any kind of lag, they do have a number of rookies they're going to play over there, particularly at the nickel position. If you missed my my rant on Locked On Chiefs today, Brian Branch is a good player. I loved him at safety. At nickel, I think he's suspect, and I think they're going to attack him. That's what I would do. But that said, if they have to pull out the tricks, they have to pull out the tricks, because the last thing you want to do is be too reluctant now, knowing the plethora of plays that Andy and Patrick can design, and screw around and get a loss early that you didn't have to. So I would say they go for it. Do you think they'll be more conservative then?
I don't know if they're going to necessarily be more conservative. I think we might just kind of see a different game plan. I mean, without Travis, they're going to have a little bit of a different game plan, might show a little bit of just kind of different route concepts to maximize the players that they have. They don't have to do that a ton with Travis because their route adjustments are always on point with Travis, and he just kind of knows where he's supposed to be. They might have to do a little bit of different route adjustments for this game with younger players, newer players, and guys that don't always have that great feel for the defense. So it's going to come down to, at least in my opinion, how they're being used and which guys are being allowed to change how they're attacking defenses, and other guys, if they're able to just kind of run their routes and just kind of have to be where they're supposed to be on the field.
No, hey, story of my life. Be where you're supposed to be. Info. I heard if Ross succeeds, he'd be an MVS replacement. but does he have the speed to be a field stretcher, or is that something we may look for deep threat next season? I would agree. He doesn't have the same speed that MVS does, but I'd say he's what, 85% of that, would you say? Taking it downfield, and he makes up for it for catch point prowess, I would say. No, you don't think so, even that?
I mean, I don't think he's 85% a speed guy. I think he's maybe 65, 70 right now. If he gets back to what he used to be, maybe. But based off what we've seen and his explosion off the line, which is almost non-existent right now, I would say absolutely not.
Okay. And the second part info, they're always looking for deep threats. And I would be too. Speed. Cole, thank you, sir. Another one of our members. Everybody say hi to Cole. And are we doing a fantasy football league this year? Asking because I sent Aaron my dues for this season, but about a week ago. I haven't heard from Aaron. They've got some family things going on, and I'm not 100% certain on that. He is the fantasy master around here. I am just a bit player in that role. But let me check with you, Cole, and we'll try to find out here. Jacob, we're going to wrap with you. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for your subs and all your time and attention. What's a tight end to watch in next year's draft? Do you got one already, Dan?
I don't actually. I haven't been able to do a ton of work. I know that Jaheim Bell is our guy, Avery's guy, but there's not a whole lot else that I've seen right now outside of the one guy that the Chiefs will not be able to get to. Brock Bowers, and he's going to be a top 5 pick. Yeah. He's going to be a top 5 pick. So it's tough. And as much, I'm getting more into, I have access to actual like tape right now for college, some of the big games that played. So I get to actually watch during the week, which is very nice. Keep up on some of these guys. So we'll take a dip into the tight end pool. Sure. Maybe more this year than we ever have before with this little hiccup in Travis Kelce's knee. So yeah, maybe we'll have some more coming at you.
I can't remember his name, but I'll tell you guys this. If you get a chance to watch Utah, check it out, because the guy that Dalton Kincaid overshadowed, I think, has some real ability from what I saw last season in very limited snaps. So let's see what he grows into. I think Rising comes back for them next week. Is that right, Dan?
He might. There's a good chance that Rising plays next week.
If Rising's not there, just throw it all out. But once he's back, give it a shot. That's one of the guys that's going to be on my short list too. And, I think probably in the next coming weeks, we'll just go ahead and reveal the watch list that I've compiled for myself. And Dan, if you want to add to that, that's perfectly fine.
No, I just
want to know who we're looking at.
Before we get out of here, we didn't do this, but I want you to give me the player and everyone else here before we leave who you think is going to have the most impact outside of Patrick Mahomes in this football game.
The player.
One guy. If you want one offense and one defense, I'll let you split that way.
Okay, I can do that too. I think the guy that's going to move the chains and give them the offense the most boost in pairing with Patrick. I do feel, despite the low, the low participation points so far, is going to be Kadarius Toney. I think he's going to do something special. It just feels like it's all been, he's hurt. Don't ignore it. Look somewhere else. Nothing to see here. Move along. I feel like Tony's the guy. On defense, I have a really good feeling about Trent McDuffie. I think he's going to make a play on the ball. I think he gets a pick in this first game. And I think that sets him up for the rest of the season. Those would be my two guys. Who are yours?
Love it. So you guys, if you were here on Monday night, you know that I did predict this year as being the Noah Gray breakout season. I do believe Noah Gray is going to play a very impactful role because we've talked about guys having to step up. And when it comes to games like this, which you're going to be without Travis Kelce and without Chris Jones, you have to have young players that are stepping into roles that they haven't had before make plays. And I do believe that Noah Gray is going to be that guy. I'm not saying he's going to get 100+ yards. He's going to make a catch in this game on a third down that is going to be like, there it is. I am willing to almost like guarantee that this happens. Remember that there was a catch he made last year where he goes up and just mosses a guy and just comes down with it. He's going to do something like that in this game. And I believe that Noah Gray is going to have a very good game. On the defensive side, Felix, come on down. Okay. Felix and DK Uzama, a sack and a half in this game. And I think he's going to get some pressures and get after, just move Jared Goff off his spot. That's what you have to do. You have to move him off his spot. The one guy that they can do it quickly enough to throw off some of the rhythm is Felix.
I appreciate that. I appreciate all of you guys. Leave your answer to that question.
Please.
Who are the two standout players on each side of the ball? Leave it in the comments tonight. Thank you for being here live with us. If you guys would hit the like on the way out, we appreciate that. Enjoy your Wednesday night. I know it's weird starting on a Thursday, but we're going to have a good time, and we're going to be live for you after the fact tomorrow night. So thank you for your time. Have a great evening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.